Welcome back, guys. I'm Matt Seddon, the better half of the Sunday Plodcast duo, and I'm here with another shoe review. Last time out, we did the Nova Blast 3, ASICS Nova Blast 3. This time, it's trail season, winter's upon us, the trees are turning. I've got the ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 24 TR to review with you today. As always, we're keeping it authentic. I'll drop all the the stats and the specific details of the shoe in the link below. But for now, I'm just going to give you my feedback on the shoe itself and how it feels running as an everyday trainer. Okay, so first impressions with the shoe. I've been on a couple 50-mile long runs which are all off-road and a few shorter runs which have been on the road as well. Slippy surfaces, it's winter, just to give it like a full test. And look, first up, ASICS are nailing the trail shoe market. Why? Because in a weird way, they're just making subtle changes to trainers that work, trainers that are successful, trainers that we know and love. ASICS are just making great changes to them. From the outside, this doesn't really look like a trail shoe, but it's got a lot more lugs on the bottom and the grip. You can't really tell from the camera even, but it doesn't do it justice. But the grip on the bottom is just perfect, especially on those slippy, wet surfaces on the road. Those leaves laying on the forest floor at the moment, mud, puddles. I've never had such sure footing in my life. So I've been very impressed, first impressions on one, the grip. Two, like I said, the fact that they've still kept what works from the GEL-NIMBUS and just turned it into a trail version is just brilliant for me. I don't need a very specific trail shoe. I'm not sure many people do unless you're up and down fells, to be honest with you. So, this keeps you in a very neutral ride, provides a lot of bounce, a lot of pop. It keeps you in that nice kind of free-flowing running motion that we know and love and that we're used to as well. Sometimes trail shoes can feel very clunky, quite stiff, not very flexible, but this is the complete opposite to that as well. And I'd argue this is all you need. One more thing that I really loved is, the support and the cushioning. We know ASICS do a great job of that already, but the Flight Foam Blast in here is just sensational, especially on those longer runs. And when you're trail running, it's a lot of ups, a lot of downs. There's a lot of elevation in your runs. These save the quads, save the calves, and that's what we've become to know and love with ASICS. So that's been a huge bonus for me. We've seen the Flight Foam in the races, in the everyday trainers, and now they're kind of putting them on the trail shoes as well, which is just brilliant. Now I'm going to tell you all the things that I love about the trainer. I mentioned it just in the kind of initial first impressions, but the biggest thing at the moment is obviously the Flight Foam on the bottom. I said it gives you, it makes the shoe, one, very durable, so I'm confident it's going to last quite a while. Like I said, I've already put best part of 100 miles on it, and I haven't seen any deteriorations in the shoe yet. Two, it just allows me to have such a bouncy, such a poppy ride out there, which is just, like I said, it saves your legs, really. We've seen it in many of their shoes, and now they're transferring it to the trail shoe as well. So it's just brilliant. But the biggest thing, the biggest take home is definitely the grip. It's the lugs, it's the grip on those softer, wet surfaces. And finally, it's a very warm shoe, okay? It hugs you. Is it true to size? Just. I'm a 9.5 in the Nova Blast 3s. I'm a 9.5 in these. These do come up a little tighter. They do hug your feet a little more as well. Chances are when you're on those trail runs as well, you're wearing kind of thicker socks, so that might make the difference. But they do come up a fraction small. But I quite like that. I'm not someone who minds at all about that. So, and they just give you still such a neutral running. I don't feel like my running form in any way is hindered when I wear these. It's still very much fast, and I can run quick. I can run. I've been down on 6-minute miles on kind of wet, soggy surfaces. So it kind of shows you the benefits and the bounce that this shoe can give you as well. There does have to be some negatives with the shoe, which I'm going to talk about now, to be honest with you. I mentioned the warmth, which is just brilliant. However, one of the biggest things maybe in a trail shoe that a lot of people might be looking for is it waterproof or not? No, it's not. You can see it's just material on the outside. It's very warm material. It's quite thick, which does mean when it gets wet, it can, I found it did kind of rub a little bit. The shoe did obviously get a lot heavier as well when it did get a little bit wet. So perhaps you'll think twice if it's kind of peeing down before you head out the door and you're going to be setting off for a 15-20 mile long run up the woods. So it's just something to think about. But I don't really mind that. I'm always prepared to kind of get stuck in, and you kind of expect your feet to get wet when it's raining. So it didn't bother me, but for some people, you may want, we have seen Gore-Tex on trail shoes at the moment on the market. So, they're not waterproof by any means, okay? That's kind of obvious. And the last thing as well, the stack height, it is quite high. I like it because I would rather have that flight foam in there, that extra bounce when I'm running, that comfort up and down hills. But if you are on rocky terrain, it is easy to kind of twist an ankle because they are a little bit unstable. So stability is probably a weak point of this shoe, probably the biggest negative that I found wearing it. Again, I don't mind too much. I never run on rocky terrain too much, and it's I just want sure footing when it's wet on the roads, or kind of really wet, muddy, and there's lots of puddles up the woods. But when it gets rocky, they are a little bit testing. You do have to really kind of watch your footing on them. So really, they're the only two negatives that I could take away from this shoe, if you can even call them negatives. One final thing, which is kind of not good, not bad, but I just thought I'd bring it up, is the tongue. Okay, it's very, very stretchy. You can see me stretching it now, which makes it quite hard to get a real... Some people like to kind of adjust their tongue, but it's very comfortable, I'll give it that. But sometimes when you're tying your laces, it was a little bit hard to kind of really fit it right. But one thing it does offer, because it's like a knitted, stretchy material, it does offer it to really it hugs your foot. And there's definitely no rubbing at all on the tongue. But I found it just sometimes when you're, you know what it's like when you do your laces and you go to pull the tongue up, it kind of just stretches. It doesn't actually pull up. So it's a bit of a weird design. I haven't seen it on any shoes at the moment, so it's kind of not, it's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, but it's just different. That's all that is. So that's all I can report on the tongue itself. Okay guys, just a quick final summary with the shoe. Me and Lum have always said we want to keep it authentic. It's our first impressions, these shoe reviews. We're not here to bamboozle you with stats. You can find all that online. We'll drop a link to the ASICS GEL-NIMBUS 24 TR in the description, so you can see the weight, you can see the stack height. I may even chuck it on the screen, who knows, so you can check that out in more detail. I'd argue the stats of the shoe, they don't really matter. Those details don't matter as much when you're in an everyday trainer, okay? If you're in a race shoe, you do care about the weight and you care less about the comfort. An everyday trainer, you're gonna be wearing up over the woods, on the forest, on those longer runs. You just want something comfy, something you can have a good stride in, and something that is just, gonna give you sure footing and grip up the woods as well. And this is exactly what this shoe does. So I'm gonna continue to wear it. I hope you can wear it too. Let us know if you are gonna purchase the shoe. Of course, it's available on sportshoes.com, and you can use Sunday Plodcast 10 as the discount code to get you 10% off as well, just in time for Christmas.